Assalamu alaikum. Dear student, this is the last concept of, I would say, corporation tax in Finance Act 2022. That is personal service company, IR35. What it is? Number one, obviously you must understand the concept of personal service company. And second, you must memorize this format. Without this format, sorry to say, you will not be able to solve the personal service company question. Now the question arises, what do you mean by personal service company? Let me explain. Assuming we have Mr. X. What Mr. X did, he incorporated X Limited, a company. Okay. And this company is a service company. What it does, X Limited, it provides services. And surprisingly, X Limited has only one employee, none other than Mr. X. Wow. Okay. He's the only employee of X Limited and he's the director of that company as well. What happens? Whenever a contract comes to X Limited for the services, what X Limited does, X Limited sends Mr. X to fulfill that contract. If this is the case, then IR35 rule, personal service company rule applies. Because logically now it is very difficult for HMRC to differentiate two things between Mr. X and X Limited. So all you need is, in exam, if you come across a scenario where examiner says apply legislation of IR35, personal service company, then you have to apply that format which I'm going to discuss shortly. So simply personal service company means you will be having a company, but that company will have only one employee, and that company, what it does, it provides services. Whenever a contract comes, and obviously X Limited will send Mr. X. In that case, IR35, another name is personal service company concept applies. What is that concept and what do we do? Performer for notional salary calculation. Amount received in the tax year from a relevant engagement. Whatever amount X Limited has received from the relevant engagement means from the customer, less statutory deduction 5% of this amount. Less statutory deduction 5% of this amount. Then you need to less employer's NIC paid by PSC, personal service company. Whatever personal service company has paid NIC on the salary of Mr. X, deduct that. Pension contribution by PSC. If personal service company has contributed in the pension for Mr. X, deduct that also. Salary paid by personal service company to Mr. X will be deducted also. If you have any allowable expenses, that will also be deducted. In case of any allowable expenses, it will be given to you in exam. Okay. You will get this value XB, which is called deemed salary, including PSC's deemed employers NIC. Okay. How do we calculate now employers NIC? Less personal service companies employers NIC. You have to take this value, multiply this value with 15.05. You need to divide this 115.05. You will be getting the NIC. After deducting this NIC, you will get notional salary. Dear student, you need to remember this format. I'm going to apply this format shortly on a question. Don't worry at all. This format might look to you very scary, but actually it is not scary when it comes to applying the format in a question. Trust me. The £5,000 employment allowance, if available, cannot be used to offset any employer's NIC arising on the notional salary. You cannot deduct this 5,000 employment allowance because you have just one employee in the company who is the director of the company. To avoid a double charge to tax, the notional salary and NIC are allowable for calculating corporation tax profits. Obviously, the notional salary is a deductible expense for the company. NIC is paid by the employer, is a deductible expense for the company. Where dividends are subsequently paid out of this income, they are ignored as a part of individual taxable income, obviously. If, for example, your examiner says Mr. X has received salary from X Limited, also the dividend from X Limited. So while calculating all the income tax liabilities for Mr. X, you need to ignore the dividend, because you will be calculating income tax liability on the actual salary which Mr. X has received and also on the notional salary. So then there's no room left for the dividend income which Mr. X has taken from X Limited. So let me read this point again. Where dividends are subsequently paid out of this income, they are ignored part of the individual's taxable income. Now apply these rules on this question. Calculate the deemed employment income arising from the relevant engagement with the Wilson Limited and the income tax and employer's NIC payable in respect of the relevant engagement. Calculate the deemed employment income 1 arising from the relevant engagement with Wilson Limited and income tax and employer's NIC payable in respect of the relevant engagement. Part B says calculate the corporation tax payable by Conrad Limited for the year ended 31st March 2023, assuming the personal service company legislation applies. Now let's read the question. Brian is a list consultant trading through a personal service company. The name is Conrad Limited. She's the only director employee and owns all of the shares of the company, okay, which was expected. During the tax year 22-23, Brian was occupied almost full-time under a contract Conrad Limited had with Wilson Limited, a small organization. Wilson Limited paid Conrad $70,000 in the fee for the Brianna's service. Now listen, I'm going to take $70,000. Then you need to deduct 5% statutory deduction. Let me use the calculator. It is mentioned in the format that 5% statutory deduction is allowed. If I take 5% of this, I'll get 3,500. Okay. Brianna drew a salary of 25,000 from Conrad Limited. Actual salary is 25,000. I'm deducting this also. Okay. Drew a salary of 25,000 from Conrad Limited in the tax year 22-23, which is taxed via pay, and employer's NIC is 2393 were paid. Let's deduct the employer's NIC 2393. We'll get the deemed employment income, deemed salary 70, minus the statutory deduction, minus the actual salary, minus the NIC paid by the employer. We are getting the amount 39107. 39107 into 15.05 divided by 115.05. I'm getting 511, you can say 6, 5116 with a little bit rounding off. 39,107 minus 5,116. I'm getting a deemed salary 33,991. Notional salary. Notional salary of this individual is 33,991. Now listen and listen here. How do we calculate tax on this? This individual is already having a salary of 25,000. Personal allowance 12570. This individual has already paid tax on this 25,000 through pay. It means the taxable income, already the taxable income is 12,430. So the basic rate band is 37,700. Out of that 12,430, this much band is already consumed. Let's see how much basic rate band is left. We are left with 25,270. We need to calculate income tax on this notional salary, which is 33,991. So the space in the basic rate band is 25270. I'll apply 20% on this. Shortly, I'll show you the proper format. Don't worry at all. If you deduct 25,270 from 33,991, you will be getting 8,721 into 40%. because no more space in the basic rate band. It is coming 3,488. 5054 plus 3488. It is 8542. So on the notional salary, this individual will have to pay the income tax of 8542. Okay. The notional salary NIC are allowable for calculating corporation tax purposes. The notional salary which we calculated 33,991 and 5116. All these values are actually deductible expenses for the company. They are deductible expenses for the company. So organization, what organization has to do from the 70,000 which company has received, obviously company will be deducting the actual salary 25, the NIC paid already 2393, then company will be deducting the notional salary as well as NIC 5116. Now let's see the proper format for part A. This is how you need to solve an exam, dear students. Employment income, income tax and employer's NIC. The total contract value earned is 70,000. Less the statutory deduction 5%, you will get 66,500. Actual salary 25. NIC already paid is this 2393. Deemed salary including employer NIC. Then you calculated NIC. This is deemed employment income or notional salary, whatever you say. How did I get this basic rate band limit? This individual is already having a actual salary of 25,000. I deducted the personal allowance. So it means already there is a taxable income of 12,430. So the remaining limit in the basic rate band is 25,270. Apply 20%. If you deduct 25,270 from 33,991, you will be getting 8721, which falls in high rate band, where applicable tax rate is 40%. So income tax on deemed employment income is 8,542. Now let's talk about a company. Trading profit of the company is 70,000. Organization has already paid salary of 25 and 2393, which is an allowable expense for the company. Additional expense for the company is notional salary plus the employer's NIC. So only total taxable profit left for the company is only 3,500 and corporation tax applicable is 19%. So personal service company will be paying corporation tax just 665. So this is all about the last topic of your corporation tax in Finance Act 2022. After this lecture, inshallah, I'll be slowly and gradually, I will not be so, I would say, aggressive. Slowly and gradually, inshallah, I'll be uploading the practice videos from the new Finance Act 2022 from the new kit. If I come across any question which is same in Finance Act 2022 and 2021, then obviously that lecture will be uploaded very quickly. But if there's a change, so definitely new lecture will be made and uploaded. So I strongly believe reaching till this lecture, you have enjoyed each and every lecture of Sir Abeel. That's what I strongly believe. I don't know, rest is on you. So I just want to say one thing. Thank you very much. Have a nice life.